every Dynasty asset has a price where it makes sense to move on from it. We've had a lot of videos on the channel. Smash like and subscribe button, keeping up the grind because of you boys. Appreciate every single one of y'all. But listen, we have a lot of videos and content for guys to buy, guys to sell. You know, sell them high, buy them low. They're going to go up in value. They're going to go down in value because Dynasty is truly one in terms of how much value you have on your Dynasty team at a given season. You want to obviously maximize that. But here, we're going to talk about a bunch of guys today that I would classify as holds, right? You're not buying them, you're not selling them. You have these guys on your roster. You could be holding them because they're going to be due for a breakout in value, which honestly that hold kind of gets classified as a buy then, because it really depends. If you don't have this guy, maybe you want to target him as a buy if he's on your team. But we're going to be breaking down. I'm going to quick scroll through like the top 100, 200 players here on Flock Fantasy. And I'm going to break down really who I classified as do not trade away these Dynasty assets. Up at the top here, you got cornerstone players. For the most part, you know, a lot of these cornerstone players you would always think don't trade them away. Now, again, keep this in mind. Every player here has its price where it makes sense. Like Drake May. Drake May I have on my sell list as like a 3 out of 10 soft sell, but that's just because I think you can get a heck of a haul for him. I'm not actually actively shopping him. It's more so just, you know, is somebody willing to give me 3 firsts and a player for Drake May? And you'd be surprised. You know, you will get deals done like that in some leagues. Might not be yours specific. So let's just go through these cornerstone assets. But really what I want to get to is the later rounds. Once you get to rankings of like 60th in value, this is a really interesting tier here of guys with McCaffrey, Jameson Williams, MHJ, Goff. This is a good tier of players this year with a lot of interesting question marks and guys that I think can break out or guys that I think can bust. So who do you want to hold on your Dynasty roster? The first guys that I would say you want to hold on to is Josh Allen and Drake May. You know, cornerstone assets, not much to talk about here. In fact, all of these top cornerstone assets, they're typically names that you are going to want to hold on to in value. A couple asterisks there. I do think that Jaden Daniels is running out of some value insulation. Jaden Daniels obviously injured in 2025, banged up in 2025, and didn't play well when he was healthy. Only 16 points per game. So if we don't see a Jaden Daniels rebound in 2026, I think this is going to be somebody that plummets here in value. But the rest of these guys, I would say classify as a hold. Puka Nacua, he worries me with injuries as well. Lamar Jackson, kind of worries me. CD kind of worries me. But Josh Allen, I'm good holding on to. Drake May, yes. Chase, JSN, Puka, Bijan. Bijan is the first must-hold asset. I think Bijan Robinson is very hard to be buying and acquiring right now, but he is somebody that is on my buy list. There are good things ahead, but you know that because the good times are already here for Mr. Bijan. 23 point per game average, and what you're not seeing, what you might not have known is his touchdown rate was very low. If he maintained the receiving role and his rushing efficiency, and he might even increase that because you have Algier as a free agent, who knows? But if his touchdown rate went back to what it was in 2024 and everything else stayed the same, we would see Bijan Robinson have a 26 plus point per game season. This guy is the young CMC 2.0 without the injury concerns as of now. So this is the first must hold asset. I would classify Jahmyr Gibbs as the second one right behind him. They're phasing David Montgomery out, even though he is still on that 2 or 3 year extension that he did sign. You're going to have a new OC there in Detroit. Jahmyr Gibbs, he is very efficient, very effective. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 26. And he's still got, at least 4 years left of his prime. And he has just been printing consistent seasons. He's not necessarily the biggest downfield receiver. He's not Chase. He's not Jefferson. But this guy gets high volume. And what I like to say about Amon-Ra, I think he's one of the toughest guys in the league. He'll get banged up, okay, but he will play through it. This guy does not miss time. He is Mr. Consistent. This is somebody I'm looking to hold on to as well. Caleb Williams, hold on to him. Burrow, I'm not going to classify him as a must-hold player. But Caleb Williams, I think that this is someone where he proved down the stretch and in the playoffs that this is someone you'll see consistent rushing upside, giving you a safe floor in Dynasty. So I like Caleb Williams, someone you cannot move. Devon Achane, I would not be moving Devon Achane right now for anything. Now, the QB situation is scary. Mike McDaniel's leaving is scary, but Devon Achane's efficiency is quite impressive. We could see a bit of a regression here in this offense. You honestly, if you're in a league of actual sweats, you could trade Achane. He could get injured, or they could have a bad offense and he could lower in value. And in theory, you could then buy him back, which, I mean, you can sell him high now and buy him back low, but I doubt that happens in your league. London, Jefferson, Mahomes, no. Hurts, no. McBride, no. Brock Bowers will be the next guy that I'm recommending holding on to. Brock Bowers, I think that people are overreacting a little bit to his 2025 season. The weeks where he was banged up and hurt definitely do hurt, you know, in the short term. It hurts your gut. You're like, man, Brock Bowers did not have a great season. Then you look at his average stats, like 15 points per game, again, tight end 3 for the second year in a row, and everything went wrong in this Raiders offense. Not anything went right. So the sky is the limit here. Like, you know, literally the O-line was like a house of cards, man. A glass house. They were crumbling, soaking, and that I don't know if that's going to change. Like, are we going to see a true generational change up where now the O-line is going to protect them like the Bears just built around Caleb Williams? I don't know. But I know Mendoza has got to be at least better than Geno Smith and what we just saw in 2025. So Bowers, I like the age, only 23. And honestly, I like the production so far in his first 2 seasons. I'd be holding on to him. Genty, I'd be holding on to. Hampton, I'd be holding on to. Jackson Dart, the next must-hold asset. This is a must-buy asset, to be completely honest with you, at this price. But if Jackson Dart is on your roster, you know, pound the hold button. You know, I wish I had a, what are those things called, like streamers? And you have like the confetti. I wish I had some confetti raining down behind me in the backdrop, because this is a very good dynasty asset to be holding on to. Now, yes, he does play like Antonio Brown at the quarterback position. That does worry me. You know, we just had the big snowstorm. Will his brain turn into a pile of snow outside? Tough to say, right? And there's honestly, we're off field. We're not going to talk about that stuff. He does seem distracted, I'll tell you that. But he doesn't play like he's distracted. The career average from his rookie season was 19 points per game. No Malik Neighbors. All that I care about is his passing sucked. Room for improvement. He will improve. And his rushing was insane. Almost 1 touchdown per game. You know, good touchdown right over there. And almost 40 rushing yards a game. And he's only 23. Jackson Dart, don't get rid of him. I'm also recommending holding on to George Pickens for right now. I know there's a bit of an unknown in landing spot, but if Pickens were to come back to Dallas, yeah, that's a great dynasty asset for the next 4 years in that scenario. Bo Nix is a hold just at this current price. Like, Bo Nix, you're not super excited. You're not super disappointed. I think it's just a good dynasty asset. He'll probably print you 18, 19 point per game seasons. And he'll obviously fluctuate a good season here, a bad season there. So he's not like a fancy must hold or an exciting one, but he's just a hold. You just classify him as a hold. Henderson, you're probably holding on here because you're hoping that he returns value with Ramondre getting a reduced role in the future. James Cook is a guy that I am just holding on to. Not really any special reason. He's going to be the lead back there in Buffalo, and he's a 26-year-old asset. If you are a rebuilder, sure, you can get rid of James Cook, but besides, if you're rebuilding, I'm holding on to this asset. Same exact theory and same exact application for Jonathan Taylor. Rashee Rice, I classify him as a good hold in Dynasty. The reason being, I know the Mahomes not being there for the start of 2026 potentially could hurt Rashee Rice in the short term. He might even have a good buy window open up as a result of this. But he did come back from injury and prison, whatever, averaged 19 points per game. Still a highly targeted player. This guy is still young. There are good days ahead for Mr. Rashee Rice. Colston Loveland, get the hammer out. Bam, must hold asset. Colston Loveland, he jumped in value throughout the entire Bears playoff run, similar to Caleb Williams, and I'm actually excited now. You know, he's very young. Him and Harold Fannin both had very promising years as tight ends. Harold Fannin will be another must-hold name in this video later on, so Loveland, do not get rid of this player. We're going to keep scrolling, man, because the rest of these guys I do think are expendable. I am listening to offers actively on all of these players until Luther Burden. Luther Burden, the price can be right here because we saw a late season breakout. It is still a crowded Bears receiver room. You have Odunze, you have Colston Loveland now, Swift and Monagai. You also are going to have DJ Moore potentially. How much longer is he going to be there? So there's a lot of mouths to feed in a Caleb Williams not too heavy passing offense. Luther Burden, good breakout at the end of the year, but what worries me, like, the breakout took a while. Now this screams year 2 breakout wide receiver for sure. Reminds me of, Ben Johnson. Oh, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Obviously he uses Burden similarly to everyone's saying. I like him as a hold, but you might get somebody willing to overpay and then you might have to pull the trigger. Quinshon Judkins, I'm holding with the injury news, man. I still think Judkins had a pretty solid rookie season. It's not a must hold, but I'm just holding. MHJ, yeah, it's a sticky situation. I am as like a soft buy right now, but we're not going to get into any of these players until Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren is somebody I am not looking to move on from. A lot of people are overreacting here. Indiana Jones and Warren showed a good connection. They were printing double-digit games. He goes down. Phillip Rivers comes in. Now, Phillip Rivers, he obviously was able to support some of the other receiving options in this offense. It just didn't click with Warren, not for lack of trying. He was still getting a high amount of targets every single game, 7 or 8 targets, per game. But he just wasn't being efficient with them, or maybe Phillip Rivers just was 50 years old and not throwing them on target. Tyler Warren, younger tight end option, and I really think that this guy could be somebody that raises up his stock significantly over the next couple of years here. Only thing concerning me is what version of Indiana Jones do we get coming off of his injury. The rest of these players, let's keep Chase Brown. Chase Brown, I'm not moving on from him. I know this is not somebody, we're getting to the 60s in the rankings. This is where it's like, there's going to be some unknowns. We're going to start to see some question marks. Chase Brown, he's old. What's the contract looking like? Can they just replace him in the draft? It's a weak draft class. And Chase Brown, you didn't know, second half of the year, overall, 17 point per game average. Oh, it's not bad, RB7. Look at the game log. This guy printed 20-point games back half of the season. The receiving was great. The touchdown rate was good. Honestly, it's not like, oh, he's going to have touchdown regression and be trash. I'm not moving Chase Brown. I'm not moving Harold Fannin. Harold Fannin had Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Shador Sanders. 3 QBs, and he was solid with all 3 of them, averaging 11 points per game in his rookie year. This guy was a stud at college, and we saw it translate to the NFL level. Sam Darnold, I'll hold him. It's not much upside, but I'll hold him. You don't have to hold him, though. RJ Harvey, same thing. You don't have to hold him, but I do think RJ Harvey's an interesting buy target at this current price. Cam Scatterbo, Javonte Williams, Kenneth Walker. I'm holding all 3 of those guys. I'm buying Scatterbo and especially Javonte at this price, but I wouldn't move on from any of those 3 guys if you have them on your roster. Those are guys that I'm not actively shopping. I'm also not actively shopping Indiana Jones. His value is now at the lowest because he's coming off of that injury. Tucker Kraft, this is somebody that he doesn't necessarily get the amount of targets that would make him consistent enough in my book. He is very effective. Sam Laporta and Tyler Shuck. I'm not selling either of these players. Sam Laporta prints double-digit tight end seasons. Just because he was banged up in 2025, do not forget his name. Look at the average of his career. He prints double-digit points. That's good to have at the tight end position. And the Lions missed his presence, man. They didn't make the playoffs, so obviously they missed his presence. I think Sam Laporta, who's only 25, is going to come back and have a good rebound season. And his stock will probably end up being somewhere in the 60s once we see that rebound happen. Tyler Shuck, I think we're also going to see this guy potentially go up to the 60s, maybe even the 50s, because the rushing upside that he showed makes me excited. He averaged about 20 rushing yards per game over the back half of the year. He averaged about 20 points per game over the back half of the year and almost 300 passing yards per game. So I'm really excited about the future here for him in New Orleans, and I'm not moving him for anything, asterisk, unless that anything is a good trade offer. Kyle Pitts, once you start getting to around 100, now we're getting lower and lower in these rankings. This is where it's hard to say don't move these guys for anything. So now we're looking for some guys that are breakout players. Kyle Pitts at this price, at this ranking. Oronde Gadsden. Both these tight ends have upside in my eyes. I personally would not necessarily be rushed to sell Kyle Pitts, and I wouldn't be rushed to sell Gatson either, but both of them do have their shortcomings and their flaws, where if you want to pull the parachute, you can. I just think there's a world where they both increase their stock. Now, it's not a guarantee. That's why they're this low in the rankings, but there is a world. So I wouldn't be in a hurry to sell those players. Argument can be made here for Jaylen Warren. Like, do you want to sell Warren? It seems like Rodgers is going to come back here with McCarthy. And then Jaylen Warren could be relatively effective once again. I think that is most of the players that I would classify as players I'm not actively shopping. Terrence Ferguson's another one. Yeah, you got to scroll down and see what we see. Ferguson. I'm not shopping Terrence Ferguson. This guy showed some real potential in the playoffs. He looked like he was also Stafford, one of his better red zone targets. So as long as Stafford comes back, if he doesn't, Ferguson's cooked. But if he comes back, I think Ferguson could have, a good career trajectory ahead. Malik Willis, I'm not really shopping. If someone wants to pay a late first or an early second for Malik Willis, I'll listen to the offers. I don't think someone's going to pay that price, considering Keep Trade Cut has him around like a third-round pick in value. So I am definitely would not be selling Malik Willis as of right now. I actually be hanging on to him. Isaiah Likely is a free agent. I think if he gets a good landing spot and he gets more usage, Isaiah Likely could also be someone that jumps in value that you don't want to be selling. Do not sell Mr. Tesla. Tesla has better days ahead. Dan Campbell receivers always start off slow. Amon-Ra averaged 13 points per game in his first season with a 75% snap share. Jamison Williams' first 3 years were absolutely terrible. Off-field issues, injuries, absolutely terrible. So Tesla, I thought he actually had an impressive rookie season. Everything that they asked him to do, he did pretty solid. I hope this video helped you out. Feel free to ask me any trade questions down there in the comments. See you in the next one.